Ever seen a seashell used as currency? How about a brothel token with adult scenes? These aren't your typical museum pieces. They're scandalous, mysterious, and sometimes flat-out confusing. A few were so strange, scholars still argue if they're real. Today, we're uncovering 12 of the strangest ancient Roman coins ever found, each one revealing a forgotten slice of history, including one that somehow ended up in Japan. If you're fascinated by ancient mysteries like these, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Starting with number 12, the Republican seashell Protocoin isn't technically a coin at all. Before Rome became the monetary powerhouse we know today, before emperors stamped their faces onto gold and silver, there were these seashells, simple natural objects that served as some of the earliest forms of standardized exchange in the Mediterranean world. Dating to around the 3rd century BCE, these proto-coins represent a fascinating transition period in Roman economic history. Rome was still a republic, still finding its footing as a regional power, and its people were experimenting with what would eventually become one of history's most sophisticated monetary systems. Some scholars argue these shells were never truly part of an official Roman monetary system at all. They point to limited archaeological evidence and suggest that what we're seeing might be isolated examples of barter rather than systematic currency use. Others believe these shells represent crucial stepping stones, natural objects that helped early Romans conceptualize value, standardization, and exchange rates. The shells were uniform enough to be trusted, portable enough to be practical, and scarce enough to hold value. What makes these proto-coins particularly strange is their survival. Unlike bronze or silver, shells don't last well in archaeological contexts. Each shell that survives, each fragment that archaeologists carefully excavate, represents potentially thousands that have simply dissolved back into the earth. Rome's monetary genius didn't emerge overnight. It evolved, slowly and organically, from the practical needs of people conducting everyday business. At number 11, we encounter Spintree tokens that would make even modern archaeologists blush. These small bronze pieces circulated throughout the Roman Empire from roughly 22 to 79 CE, and they're decorated with explicit sexual imagery that leaves absolutely nothing to the imagination. Each token bears a Roman numeral on one side and graphic depictions of various sexual acts on the other. Most historians believe these were brothel tokens. The theory goes that customers would purchase Spintree with regular currency, then exchange them for services. This system supposedly protected both parties from direct monetary transactions in what was technically an illegal activity. The numbered system might have corresponded to different services or prices. Not everyone agrees with this interpretation. Some scholars argue the tokens were used at public baths, gaming pieces for adult entertainment, or even joke gifts exchanged at private parties. The problem is we have virtually no contemporary written sources describing their actual use. Roman writers, surprisingly, didn't document the operational details of their red light districts. What we do know is that these tokens were mass-produced. They've been found across the empire, from Britain to North Africa. The artistic quality varies wildly. Some are crudely executed while others show remarkable craftsmanship. This suggests multiple workshops were producing them, possibly without centralized control. The Spintree raise uncomfortable questions about Roman society that traditional histories often gloss over. Every token that survives tells us something about desires, transactions, and human behavior that transcended social class and geographic boundaries throughout the ancient world. Coming in at number 10, the Eyides of March denarius literally advertises political assassination. This silver coin bears the inscription Eyides Mar, the Ides of March, the date Julius Caesar was murdered in the Senate. Marcus Brutus minted these denarii to celebrate killing the most powerful man in Rome. The reverse shows 2 daggers flanking a liberty cap, symbolizing freedom through violence. Brutus wasn't subtle about his message. He wanted everyone in the Roman world to know exactly who orchestrated Caesar's death and why. The liberty cap represented the freed slaves who traditionally wore such headgear, suggesting Caesar had enslaved the Roman people through his dictatorship. These coins are extraordinarily rare. Only about 80 examples survive today, making them among the most valuable ancient coins ever sold. In 2020, One specimen fetched over $4 million at auction. The scarcity isn't surprising. Minting coins celebrating regicide probably wasn't the safest career move in ancient Rome. Modern scholars debate whether these denarii were actually distributed widely or remained primarily as propaganda pieces for Brutus's supporters. The mint location is disputed, possibly in Greece where Brutus gathered his forces after fleeing Rome. What's certain is that Brutus used coinage as a weapon, turning everyday commerce into political messaging. Number 9 brings us the Judea Capta Sestertius, a coin that celebrates conquest through humiliation. Minted in 71 Common Era by Emperor Vespasian, this large bronze coin commemorates Rome's brutal victory in the First Jewish-Roman War. The reverse depicts a mourning Jewish woman sitting beneath a palm tree, with a Roman soldier standing triumphantly beside her. The Latin inscription reads, Judea Capta, Judea captured. This wasn't just commemorative currency, it was psychological warfare minted in bronze. Vespasian ordered these coins mass-produced and distributed throughout the empire. Every transaction reminded people of Rome's dominance. Every handful of change reinforced the message that rebellion was futile. The imagery is deliberately degrading. The seated woman represents not just military defeat, but cultural destruction. Her posture, head bowed, and shoulders slumped, was instantly recognizable to ancient viewers as the universal pose of mourning and submission. The palm tree serves as both geographical identifier and ironic symbol. Palms traditionally represented victory, but here they shade only defeat. Archaeological evidence shows these coins circulated widely from Britain to Egypt. Some scholars argue the extensive distribution proves how seriously Rome took the Jewish revolt. Others suggest Vespasian needed the propaganda to legitimize his new dynasty, having seized power during a chaotic civil war. The Judea Capta series continued for 25 years, long after the war ended. This persistence reveals something disturbing about Roman mentality. Conquest wasn't enough. The defeated had to be perpetually reminded of their humiliation through everyday commerce. At number 8, the Silanakus Antoninianus, featuring an emperor who might never have existed. Silanakus, if that was even his real name, remains one of history's most enigmatic figures. His coins appeared during the crisis of the 3rd century, when the Roman Empire was fragmenting under barbarian invasions, economic collapse, and constant civil wars. Only a handful of his Antoniniani survive, making them among the rarest Roman coins ever discovered. The mystery deepens when you examine the coins themselves. The portrait shows a radiate-crowned figure, standard for 3rd century emperors, but the style is crude compared to official imperial coinage. The reverse typically depicts military themes, suggesting Silanakus was a usurper who claimed legitimacy through military victory. Some historians believe Silanakus was a local commander who briefly controlled territory in Gaul or the Rhine frontier. Others argue he was a rebel who minted coins to pay his troops during a short-lived uprising. A few scholars even question whether these coins are ancient at all. The debate continues because we have zero literary evidence for Silanakus. No ancient historian mentions him. No inscriptions bear his name. No other archaeological evidence confirms his existence, whether emperor, usurper, or historical phantom. Silanakus represents the chaos of 3rd century Rome. Number 7, the Antoninianus of Sponsian, the fake coin that turned out to be real. For over 2 centuries, numismatists dismissed Sponsian's coins as obvious forgeries. The style seemed wrong. The Latin inscriptions contained errors, and no historical sources mentioned any emperor named Sponsian. These coins sat in museum storage, labeled as 18th century fakes created to deceive collectors. In 2022, scientists at University College London subjected the coins to advanced forensic analysis, micro-X-ray fluorescence, scanning electron microscopy, and infrared spectroscopy revealed ancient wear patterns impossible to fake. The coins had been buried, handled, and aged for over 1,000 years. Sponsian likely ruled Dacia, modern-day Romania, during the chaotic 260s CE. When central Roman authority collapsed, local commanders often declared independence to protect their territories. Sponsian probably minted these crude Antoniniani to pay his troops while defending Dacia against barbarian invasions. The errors that convinced experts these were fake actually support their authenticity. A forger would have copied perfect imperial Latin, but a desperate provincial governor might have employed local craftsmen unfamiliar with proper imperial formulas. This discovery revolutionized our understanding of 3rd century Rome. Rome, proving that sometimes the most suspicious artifacts hide remarkable truths. 6. The double sestertius, a denomination so unusual that most Romans probably didn't know what to do with it. These massive bronze coins appeared sporadically during the 3rd century, roughly twice the size and weight of regular sestertii. Emperors like Trajan Decius and later Postumus, the Gallic usurper, minted them during particularly desperate times. The coins are impressive, almost medallion-like in their proportions, but they represent economic chaos rather than imperial grandeur. The double sestertius emerged when Roman currency was collapsing. Silver Antoniniani were being debased with increasing amounts of bronze and lead, making them nearly worthless. Rather than fix the silver coinage, some emperors experimented with larger bronze denominations, hoping size would convey value. Archaeological evidence suggests these coins rarely circulated. Most examples show minimal wear, indicating they were hoarded rather than spent. People instinctively understood that a coin's value came from its metal content, not its official denomination. A double sestertius contained twice the bronze of a regular sestertius, but bronze was cheap and plentiful. The denomination disappeared as quickly as it emerged. The failure of double sestertii illustrates a fundamental economic principle. You cannot create value through government decree, especially when people have lost faith. Coming in at number 5, Anglo-Saxon Roman imitations. Coins so full of spelling mistakes they're almost endearing. After Roman legions abandoned Britain in 410 CE, local Anglo-Saxon kingdoms still needed currency. Rather than develop entirely new monetary systems, they copied Roman coins, often with spectacularly poor results. Recent archaeological discoveries have revealed imitations so garbled that the original Latin inscriptions become unrecognizable gibberish. One recently discovered coin attempts to copy a standard Roman inscription but renders it as complete nonsense. Letters reversed, words scrambled, and symbols that don't exist in any known alphabet. The Anglo-Saxon craftsmen were clearly copying letter shapes without understanding their meaning, like medieval photocopying done by illiterate scribes. These errors weren't accidental, they were systematic. The Anglo-Saxon moneyers had access to Roman coins as templates, but they lacked classical education. They faithfully reproduced what they saw, including scratches and wear marks they mistook for intentional design elements. Some imitations include backwards letters and upside-down words. Modern linguists use these botched inscriptions to understand how Latin literacy disappeared from post-Roman Britain. Each mangled word represents a step in the cultural transition from Roman province to Germanic kingdom, documenting the death of classical civilization one spelling mistake at a time. 4th place, Deandius with radiate emperors, coins that solved an ancient problem through creative headwear. Roman bronze coinage included several denominations that looked nearly identical: the sestertius, Deandius, and as were all roughly the same size and color. Without modern printing techniques, Roman mints needed a simple way to help people distinguish between different values. Their solution was elegantly practical. Emperors on Deandii wore radiate crowns, spiky solar crowns that made the coins instantly recognizable. The radiate crown wasn't just decorative, it was functional design. In dim marketplace lighting, or during quick transactions, people could identify a Deandius by feeling for the raised spikes around the emperor's head. The system worked so well that it continued for over 2 centuries, from Augustus through the Antonine dynasty. But the radiate crown created its own problems. Some emperors looked ridiculous wearing the spiky headgear, particularly older rulers whose portraits became unintentionally comic. Modern collectors sometimes struggle to take these coins seriously, seeing dignified emperors transformed into ancient sun gods with bad hair days. Archaeological evidence shows Deandii circulated widely throughout the empire. Wear patterns indicate people trusted the denomination system, using the radiate crown as a reliable indicator of value. The success of this identification method influenced later Roman coinage, when radiate crowns became standard on debased silver Antoniniani. These coins prove that even ancient civilizations understood the importance of user-friendly design, solving practical problems through visual innovation that modern graphic designers would appreciate. Taking 3rd place, Roman coins discovered in medieval Japan, thousands of miles and over a millennium away from their origin. In 2013, archaeologists excavating Kachuran Castle on Okinawa made an impossible discovery, buried in 14th to 15th century contexts. They found genuine Roman coins dating to the 3rd and 4th centuries CE. The coins had somehow traveled 8,000 miles from the Mediterranean to medieval Japan, raising questions that historians still can't answer. The discovery defies conventional understanding of ancient trade networks. No known historical sources describe direct contact between Rome and Japan. The coins, bronze pieces featuring emperors Constantine and Constantius, show significant wear, suggesting they circulated for centuries before reaching Okinawa. But how and why? Several theories attempt to explain this mystery. Some scholars suggest the coins traveled along Silk Road trade routes, passing through countless hands over hundreds of years before reaching East Asia. Others propose that European traders brought ancient coins to Japan as curiosities or collectibles during the medieval period. The most intriguing possibility is that these coins represent evidence of forgotten trade connections. Maritime routes between the Roman world and East Asia might have existed earlier than previously thought, carrying not just goods, but currency across vast oceanic distances. Chinese historical records mention mysterious foreign merchants from the far west, but their identities remain unclear. These Roman coins in Japanese soil challenge our assumptions about ancient globalization. They suggest that the ancient world was more interconnected than traditional histories acknowledge, with objects, ideas, and perhaps people traveling distances we never imagined possible. In second place, the mystery Roman hordes. Archaeological puzzles that reveal Romans behaving very strangely. In England's West Country, archaeologists recently discovered a Roman coin hoard that defies all conventional explanations. Unlike typical hoards, which are usually buried in pottery vessels or leather bags, these coins were carefully arranged in a large bronze dish, then deliberately buried in a location with no apparent strategic or religious significance. The hoard contains over 300 coins spanning 2 centuries, from Hadrian to Honorius. But they're not arranged chronologically or by denomination. Instead, the coins seem to be sorted by some unknown criteria that makes no sense to modern scholars. Some coins show evidence of deliberate damage, as if someone systematically defaced specific emperors while leaving others untouched. Traditional hoard explanations don't work here. This wasn't emergency burial during barbarian raids. The location is too remote, and the burial too careful. It wasn't a religious offering. Roman gods didn't typically require damaged coins arranged in bronze dishes. It wasn't a merchant's savings. The coin selection is too eclectic and impractical. Some archaeologists theorize this represents an unknown Roman ritual, perhaps related to ancestor worship or magical practices not documented in literary sources. Others suggest it might be evidence of early coin collecting, ancient numismatists preserving specimens for reasons we can't fathom. The West Country hoard joins dozens of similarly inexplicable Roman coin deposits found across Britain and Europe. Each discovery reveals that Romans had complex relationships with their currency that extend far beyond simple economic transactions, relationships we're only beginning to understand. And at number 1, the largest sestertius ever found. A coin so massive it challenges everything we know about Roman denominations. This bronze giant weighs nearly 3 times more than a standard sestertius, with a diameter that barely fits in an adult palm. Discovered in a private collection and later authenticated by leading numismatists, it represents either an extraordinary minting error or evidence of a denomination we never knew existed. The coin features standard imperial iconography, a laureate emperor's portrait on the obverse and typical reverse imagery, but executed on an unprecedented scale. The craftsmanship is remarkable, suggesting this wasn't a crude provincial imitation, but an official product of imperial mints. Every detail, from the emperor's facial features to the smallest decorative elements, shows the precision expected of metropolitan workshops. The most intriguing possibility is that these oversized sestertii were more common than we realize. Standard archaeological recovery methods might miss such large coins, mistaking them for medallions or other artifacts. If so, This discovery could revolutionize our understanding of late Roman monetary systems. Modern auction houses have valued similar specimens at astronomical prices, with collectors paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for verified examples. The largest Cisters ever found proves that even after 2 millennia, Roman coins can still surprise us, reminding us how much we don't know about the ancient world. If you enjoyed this dive into Rome's strangest currency, hit that like button, subscribe for more weird history, and let me know in the comments. Which coin surprised you the most and would you collect it? Thanks for watching and stay curious.